Hi everybody, this is Shelly and I wanted to do my December flip of my Faux Hobonichi. I'm a couple of days late, but that's because my kids have been home on winter break, Christmas break, whatever. And so this is the first day that they are back to school and it's quiet and it's been kind of a nice, relaxing, quiet day here at home. So I thought I would take the time to go through this really quick for you. As you can see, if you've been following my videos, I have changed the cover on my Faux Hobonichi, and I'm still using the Miguel Ruiz book from Barnes & Noble. And I wanted to get a new planner for 2015 or a new Hobonichi, but I just cannot. As you can see, I have more than half of this book left, and so I just don't. I want one, but I want to finish this book first. So the plan is to stay in this until it runs out, and I counted the pages and it looks like I can make it maybe through November. Once November gets here, I'll probably count to make sure I have enough pages. If I don't, then I will just do November and December in like a Moleskine or something that I can just tuck into the back of here. And then I want to go into the Hobonichi for 2016. So that's the plan for now. But in an attempt to kind of make it seem new again, I have redone my cover. It was probably my October flip that I did the link and everything to show you how I made my cover. I just followed a tutorial I found and then just made the insert to fit inside the plastic cover. This is holding up really well. I will say that I don't carry it with me anywhere. It just stays at home. And I also have, you know, the book board in here, and that helps to sturdy it. But I like that when I want to change, I can just make a new cover. So this one is made with just scrapbook cardstock, so it's a little bit heavier. And you can see I have, it's an Erin Condren band around the outside. And I have it on this way because when I put it the other way, it squishes it weird and it warps my cover up. So this works well, and I think it's actually going to hold pretty well once it expands out. So I'll slip that off so you can see it. So I just put two pieces of cardstock together, and I just made like a little collage for the front, just some little pieces that I liked. I redid the tape on the binding just so it would match, because I had the Union Jack tape on here before. So that's my new cover, and you can see it just kind of slides back and forth whenever I put it on. But let's see. Let me find where I'm at. Okay, so let's see. I may zoom this in a bit. Alright, so I kept up with my weather. I found a website online that you can go to, and it gives you, like, if you miss a day, it will give you like the average temperature and all that kind of stuff, like precipitation, things like that. So it's called Weather Underground, and you just put your zip code in. So I did have to go back a couple of days just to get the temperature, but I kept up with this. We had a lot of like dreary gray days, not much sun, kind of cold all month. But we did get a little bit of snow, not very much, some freezing rain, nothing that stuck very well, but it's just been really cold the last couple of days. So I still have one to color in here, but I will get to that. So last month, if you watched, you know I was getting a little disenchanted with the whole process, trying to find something to kind of shake it up to make it more new. So I decided that instead of doing my pages like this with the printouts and everything, that I was going to try to do the whole month with just drawing. So I did make it through the whole month with just drawings. I do have a couple of like little journal cards and things in here because my ink bled through with the watercolors for some reason on just a couple of pictures. As I get towards the end of the month, you'll notice that my drawings kind of taper off because I was having a hard time finding new things to draw, and so that was kind of an issue for me with this whole process. So I will just go through it really quickly. Before I turn the page, I want to let you know that if you are watching Sons of Anarchy and you have not watched the final yet, the finale, then you probably don't want to continue watching this, because there are spoilers for the Sons of Anarchy finale in here. And I'm not going to try to hide those because it's too hard, and because it's been a month since it's been on, and if you're on Facebook and you follow anybody that has anything to do with Sons of Anarchy, then you probably already know how it ends anyway. So that's my only warning that I'm going to give. There are several things in here about Sons of Anarchy, so if you don't want to be spoiled, then turn it off now. Oops. All right. So you will notice a lot of books, and this is actually the third time that I filmed this, because I've just had like weird things going on every time I try to film it. And so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about the books that I've read. If you have any questions about any of them, just leave me a comment and I will answer your questions. I did read 28 books this month, so I read a lot of books, and because it was most of the month we were on break, I had a lot of time and we stayed home a lot, so I read a lot of books. So because we didn't do very much else, there's a lot of TV shows and a lot of books on my pages, but I don't want to go into too much detail on any of those, because if I did, it would take forever. So I tried to read a lot of series. Like I have the first 2 books of the series and I'm waiting for it to come out in paperback. So a lot of those I just went and got on Kindle, and then when the last book comes out, I'll just buy them in paperback. So I don't know, I probably read 5 or 6 different series, full series this month. So the first series I read was the Sweet Evil series by Wendy Higgins. So I read all 3 of those over the course of a couple of days. My Sleepy Hollow, this was the winter finale of Sleepy Hollow, and I did use tracing paper to trace the outline of, and once I kind of got into the month I realized I probably could have done this on my own, but I was a little hesitant at the beginning to try to draw some things, so I did use tracing paper for this. And then December 2nd was a school day. I think I have 1 more week of school left at this point. I did a picture of one of my favorite to-go mugs. It's a chevron, foily chevron mug that I got from Kohl's. It will hold 16 ounces of coffee, so it's one of my favorites. After I finished the Sweet Evil series, I started another book, and I read that one on my Kindle. This was the next to the last episode of Sons of Anarchy, so I just did a little Sons of Anarchy there. The next day, I did not have school. I didn't have a sub job that day, so we just went to Walmart. I went grocery shopping, did laundry, and this is my kind of lame attempt at drawing a bathtub full of blood, because the American Horror Story freak show that we watched that night was called Bloodbath, and so this kind of fit the theme of that or whatever. This Thursday was my last full day of classes, like regular classes. I had my children's lit class, and then in my Ed 280 class, it was our final, and our final was to do a presentation on a global education problem, or anything that affected children going to school in some other country. So my partner and I, we did our presentation on China's one-child policy, so I did my computer there. I made cookies when I got home. We watched Haven and Kingdom. The next day I subbed for Dylan's class, and they're doing like little presentations on the Loch Ness Monster, kind of a debate. Like some of the kids were on the force that they do believe in it, some kids were on that they don't believe in it, so this is my little interpretation of a little cartoon representation of the Loch Ness Monster. And then that night we watched The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug, and we actually bought this Blu-ray when it came out, like the day it was released, but hadn't watched it until tonight. So I did trace the outline of the letters on this one too. And then the next day was a Saturday, and pretty much all of my Saturdays in December I stayed home for the most part. So yeah, I stayed home that whole day. I started reading the Raven Boys series by Maggie Stiefvater, and so I just did the Raven from the cover of that, and I did use tracing paper for the outline on that one. The next day was Sunday. Just a pretty normal Sunday. Went to church, took a nap, that kind of thing. I worked on my planner, and then we watched Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, and so I did the Mustang that they rebuild in Tokyo Drift. And my youngest son Dylan is like super into cars, and so he loved this picture. But I traced the outline of that one too. And I did use a little bit of acrylic on this one too, but I had fun with that one. Not the best car, I'm sure, but I had fun doing that. And the next day was Monday. I read the second and started the third book in the Raven Boys series, and then I had my government final was the next day, and so I spent most of the day studying and doing note cards for my government final. And then we just spent the evening watching TV. I watched some Vampire Diaries episodes that day, and then we watched The Librarians premiered Sunday, so we watched the first 2 episodes of The Librarians, and then we watched a couple of episodes of Kingdom. The next day, we had a little snafu with the bus. Dylan's bus was like 30 minutes late, and Bailey rides the same bus to the high school. Like, they drop off the elementary kids and then they come back and pick up the high school kids. Well, since the bus was so late, they sent a sub, and he didn't stop at the bus stop, so Bailey's bus never did come to get her, so she just stayed home with me all day. And I had to go take my government final, and that was the only exam I had that day, just the government final. And then we met Jake for lunch, and then that night we watched Hercules, and we watched the finale of Sons of Anarchy. So I just did a little drawing of the rings that Jax wears. And the next day I tried a new crock pot recipe, and that was a hit with all the kids, which is very rare around here that I find one recipe that everybody likes, so that one was a really good one. And then I replaced our garbage disposal this day. We had been having trouble with it for about a month, and finally it just stopped working. Actually, it's been several months. It would work, and then we'd reset it and it would work again, and finally it just stopped. And it'd probably been 2 or 3 weeks without a garbage disposal, which is like torture when you have 3 kids. So I told Jack, I can't do this anymore. I need a garbage disposal. So we went and bought a garbage disposal. That was kind of one of our Christmas presents. And I replaced it. It took me literally like 15 minutes to replace the garbage disposal. It was super easy. And then we watched the season 1 finale of Kingdom on this night. So I did my little Navy Street mixed martial arts. That's what is printed on the t-shirts for the gym on that show. The next day was my very last day. I had my children's lit final. It was essay final, so I just did a little picture of the blue book. And then when I got home, I made cookies. And then Dylan had to get a haircut when he got home from school, and so this was just my little before and after Dylan's haircut. And then, yeah, just a regular night. We just ate dinner, watched American Horror Story. The next day, I just stayed home and I read all day. So I read several books, or I finished one, started another one. I watched the Christmas episodes of Chasing Life and Pretty Little Liars, and then that night we watched Legend of Hercules. But Jake and I had gone Christmas shopping this day. All of my kids' birthdays, as you know from watching my flip last month, are in November. So Christmas, we don't even start Christmas usually until the first part of December because we've just finished with birthdays. And so it's a really hard time of year for us, both financially and kind of creatively, because when you have to buy all of your kids' birthday presents a month before Christmas, it gets a little tricky to find things to buy for them for Christmas. So we always wait till the last minute, it seems like. But this is a night we went to Best Buy and I got my camcorder and tripod and everything, and that was part of my Christmas present. The next day was Saturday. I'm pretty sure I stayed home all day. Jake took Colton Christmas shopping that day. He takes each of the kids shopping so they can buy presents for each other, and then he takes them out for breakfast or lunch or dinner, whichever one is during the time that they shop. And so he took Colton that day. And then we watched Guardians of the Galaxy on this day, so I just did a little drawing of Groot. And then we watched The Purge Anarchy, which actually was pretty good. It was way better than the first movie. Sunday, another typical Sunday, I decorated my planner, so I just did a little picture of that. And then I just put these little post-it flags, and not post-it, but just the little page flags from Target Dollar Spot. I don't use these. They're long, and they're printed funny, and well, not really funny, but because they're printed up and down like this, I can't use them in my planner like I normally would, like to write, you know, appointments and things on, because of the way they're printed up and down. So I don't use them, so I just stuck some in here. And then I finished the first of another series, the Mara Dyer series, trilogy. And so I had finished the first book, so I went ahead and started the second one. And these are fairly big books, but they read really quickly. So, and this was another really good series. I think this was the third series that I had read this month. And then this was one of my pages that bled through, and so I just put this in there. I subbed a 3rd grade class, probably my favorite class to sub on this day. And then I finished the second Mara Dyer book. Jake took the boys to a basketball game, and Dylan won $50 from Great Southern doing a hoops contest at halftime. He tends to be fairly lucky like this. He wins these things at the games quite a bit. And we watched another movie called Old Boy on that night when the kids went to bed. The next day was Tuesday. I didn't have a sub job, so I just stayed home all day. I read the last Mara Dyer book, and then I put our stockings up. And I made all of our stockings a couple of years ago, and I kind of picked fabric that matched each of us, and so I just did kind of just a real quick wash of the color that our stockings are. And then we started watching the sci-fi series Ascension on this night, mini-series. The next day I subbed for half a day as the art room aide in the art, or the classroom aide in the art class. So these were like, they were doing these little drawings that were like this. They were using watercolors, and I don't know how many of you have had anything to do with large groups of, let's see, I think it was 3rd, 2nd, and 1st graders. But 1st graders and watercolors are not a very good mix. It was a mess. When you have, I believe when each class has, during the art class, there's probably 45 kids in the art room. And 45 kids with watercolors is not a good combination, but they did make really cute pictures. And then Jake and I went and ate lunch, and then I read for the rest of the day, so yeah. Oh, I also got my bag on this day, and it is one of those the canvas messenger bags. A lot of people have them, a lot of planner people, and I first saw it on Erin Joy's channel, and she did a what's in my bag, and I loved it. And I wanted to get the black. I ended up getting a coffee color, which I like it. It's not something I normally would have picked. But I do like it, and I think it's going to be really nice for school. But when I was putting my page together, I had forgotten that I got it on this day, so I didn't put anything, just a little snippet here. The next day was Thursday, and Dylan's class party is the next day, and I'm the room parent for his class, and so I had to go buy all the things to do his party, because I'm like way last minute on all of this kind of stuff. So I bought the things to do snowman soup, and then I bought the stuff to do a craft with where you make a little ornament, snowman ornament with the big like fat craft sticks. So I put all that stuff together. I had to paint the craft sticks white because they were just craft color. And then I started another book, and then we watched the last part of Ascension. We watched the second part on this day, and American Horror Story. So Friday was the party day, and it was my last party as an elementary school parent. They do have the Valentine party still, but since I have school on Fridays this semester, another one of the parents is going to do that party. So after that, I finished the Daughter of Smoke and Bone and went straight on to the Days of Blood and Starlight, which is another really good series I finished this month. And then we ate dinner at home, and then we went Christmas shopping again on this night, and we had to go get stuff for my family's Christmas party, which is on Sunday. So when we got home, we did watch 4 Christmases. And the next day I stayed home. It was a Saturday. I think Jake might have taken another one of the kids shopping that day. I can't remember, but I didn't do very much, so I had painted my nails, and so I just put little pictures of that in here. And then I finished this book, and I think I got the third book on Kindle. I need to get the third book in. I have those in hardback. I got them like at Barnes & Noble for like $5. Not Barnes & Noble, Books A Million. And then we ate dinner at home, and then we watched Into the Storm, and then when the kids went to bed, we started Hemlock Grove. It's on Netflix, and if you watch planner videos, you've probably seen a lot of the girls talking about this show, and I've been wanting to watch it for a really long time, and we finally started it. We watched a couple of episodes this night. I really like it. We're about 3/4 of the way into season 2 now. And my husband doesn't really care for it, but he's sticking in there because I like it so much. But I love Alexander Skarsgård, and he plays Eric in True Blood. He's one of my favorite ever. And his little brother, Bill, plays Roman on Hemlock Grove, and he reminds me so much of Eric in some of the scenes in the second season. But I really like the show. The next day was Sunday, and we went to church, and then we went over to my sister's for my 2 sisters and all of our families get together at my sister Sarah's house every year the week before Christmas, and we do our little Christmas thing with the kids. The kids drew names this year, and so we went and did presents and everything with them. And then we came home, we watched some more Hemlock Grove. The next day, we finally finished all of our Christmas shopping that evening when Jake got off work. The kids and I stayed home the whole day other than that though, and we watched the first 3 Step Up movies, which are I can watch movies with singing or dancing over and over and over again, and the Step Up movies are some of my favorites, so we'll watch those over and over again. So we watched the first 3 this day, and then Jake and I went shopping, so I just did a little to-do list here, and I put another picture of one of my favorite mugs. The next day we watched the last 2 Step Up movies because we needed to finish our marathon, and then I also finished reading the 3rd book of the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy, and it's called Dreams of Gods and Monsters. We had dinner at home, and then we watched the Polar Express, which this was the first time I had watched Polar Express. And then actually we watched, I think, yeah, it was on Sunday after we came home from Sarah's, we watched How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and that was the first time I've ever watched that one all the way through too. So we tend to watch the same Christmas movies every year, and for some reason those are ones that I had never watched. So on Wednesday the kids decided they wanted to watch High School Musical, so we watched all 3 High School Musicals that day. And then when Jake got home we watched Christmas Vacation, and this is Christmas Eve, and so once we got done watching Christmas Vacation, we sent all the kids to the other room. They could watch TV or whatever. They played video games, I think. And we wrapped all of our Christmas presents while we watched Hemlock Grove. And that's like one of our traditions. We always wrap our presents on Christmas Eve. We started that when Bailey was a baby and she started getting into the presents. And so we just hide everything. And then on Christmas Eve we wrap everything. And so it's kind of a surprise when they get up Christmas morning and all of their presents are there. So then we have Christmas Day, and this is where it gets to a point where I kind of don't have anything to draw anymore. And as you can see on these, there's just a few big things, and I kind of got to where I was having trouble finding things to draw. So Christmas Day, we got up, did presents. The kids were up at like 6, but we told them they had to wait till 7 to wake us up. So I just did a few little pictures of the things that I got for Christmas. So Dylan got me this mug from Target. It has my initial on it, and it's the blue chevron, and it has gold details and stuff. And then Colton got me a really cute pair of like slip-on shoes from Sears. They're the brand Bongo, and they're like all glittery. They're like kind of like those slip-on kid type shoes, but they're like black glitter. They're super cute. And Bailey got me some socks. I didn't try to draw a picture of that, but they have all of them. It's like a huge pack of socks, and they all have like a Paris theme. And then I got a Starbucks gift card. I had gotten my camera earlier and we had done the garbage disposal, so we didn't do big gifts for each other. And then, well, I got one big gift, and that was the Gilmore Girls box set, and that was from all of the kids. And I've been wanting that for a long time. I watched all the Gilmore Girls a couple of years ago, but never had bought them. And on Black Friday, Best Buy had the full box set for like $64 or something like that, so they got it. Dylan had been running a fever on these 2 days, and he was just sick. And he said he felt fine on Thursday. I told him he needed to stay home with me because I hadn't been feeling very well. I never did run a fever, but he ended up going with Jake and the other 2 kids to Jake's mom and dad's little family, or his mother's side of the family had like just a dinner, and so that they all went to that. And then I spent most of the day reading. I just didn't feel good. I didn't want to go anywhere. When they got home, we watched A Christmas Story and Elf, which I've seen both of those several times. Those are some of our movies we watch every year. And so I read while they were watching those. But I read Let It Snow, and that is a collection of 3 shorter stories. It's a decent sized book, but it's 3 stories, all written by 3 different authors, and one of them is by John Green. And so I had wanted to read that for a while, so I picked it up for this year to read during winter time. So that one was really good. That one was really good. And then I started another series, and it's called On Dublin Street by Samantha Young. If you like adult, they're considered new adult maybe, romance, that's a really good series. There's 5 books out so far. I know there's at least 1 more coming. So I read the first one of that. And then, yeah, it was a good Christmas. Everybody had fun. Everybody got stuff they wanted. So, yeah. And I just didn't know what to draw. So, Friday, Jake had to work. Dylan started running a fever again, because I knew he wasn't feeling good enough to go places on Thursday, but he did it anyways. So, on Thursday, the kids and I stayed home all day. We were supposed to go to Jake's sister's for his side of the family's little Christmas get together with his parents and my brother and sister-in-law. And my sister-in-law wasn't feeling well, so we ended up not going on this day. So I read the second On Dublin Street novel, and then when Jake got home, we just had dinner at home, and we had a Miranda marathon. So Miranda is a British sitcom, and Jake and I watched it when it was out originally. It's been a year since the finale, since the last episode, and they didn't know if they were going to come back and make a new series or not. And so they decided not to, but this year they played 2 new episodes and they wrapped the series up. So one aired on Christmas Day, one aired on New Year's Day. And so we wanted to watch all the Mirandas again, so the kids watched that with us. And if you have watched my other flips, then you know that I really like, it's a new show on USA. I can never find it when I look for it, but it's called Rush, and it stars Tom Ellis. And we originally saw Tom Ellis on Miranda. He's the main male character on Miranda, so that's one of the reasons I really like Miranda. The next day was Saturday. We did end up going to Jamie's for our Christmas thing that night. I read another book. We did White Elephant with Jake's family, so we drew names and just did a White Elephant gift. So I got this clock from Jamie, which is actually a really nice clock. I haven't decided where I'm going to put it yet, but that's what I got from that. Yeah, we just ate a ton of food and we had fun. The next day was Sunday. Now, by this time, Colton is sick. And so he was running a fever on Sunday, so I stayed home with him. So, yeah, we didn't do much this day. I read and we watched, I think we finished Miranda on this day, and then we started an IT Crowd marathon on this day. It's another British show, and the kids love it. Colton does. So, yeah, we watched that. And then this past Monday, I had a job interview at Sears, which I kind of just applied for it at the beginning of December, thinking, you know, I could work through the holidays, you know, have a little extra money for Christmas. Well, they did not call me until after Christmas. And so I went in for an interview. I've already found out that I didn't get the job, which is fine, because once I went in and realized what all it would entail, it's not something that I really wanted to do anyways. So that was alright. I stayed home for the rest of the day. Dylan went to Silver Dollar City with Jake's mom and dad. And so Bailey and Colton and I just stayed home all day, and I read pretty much all the rest of the day. I think I finished 2 books this day. And then Jake and the 2 kids and I played Life, and then we watched more IT Crowd. And then on Tuesday, Jake had to work. It was his last day of work for the week. He took vacation days for the rest of the week, and then he had days off for the holiday. But I read 2 more books on this day, and I know this is like super crazy, but I read really fast. I can read a book a day. I can average a book a day if I have time to sit and read. Both of these books were not regular length novels. They were just, you know, shorter novels. They were probably 220 pages a piece, so I finished those in no time. And that's pretty much all we did. We didn't really do anything. Jake brought home dinner, and then we watched a couple of Hemlock Grove once the kids went to bed. And then on the last day, I didn't do much on this page. I did put this is my one word that I picked for 2015, prioritize, and it's kind of like, I'm not going to go into too much detail about it. It's fairly self-explanatory. It's more of just a reminder that there are things that should take priority. You know, we're trying to pay off some debt this year, and it is not a priority for me to spend a lot of money on planner things. That there are things that are more important. It's not a priority for me to read 28 books a month necessarily. That, you know, I don't know. I had a lot of time in December, so it was fine, but it's not something that will continue through the year just because I won't have time. So that's kind of the idea behind it, is to, before I buy anything, before I do something, before I spend time doing something, it's to decide whether that should be a priority or not. So I didn't put anything here at the bottom. I just didn't have anything to write. We didn't really do anything that day. We had a big dinner, and we stayed home with the kids, and we played games and watched TV, and that was it. We've done that for the last several years. So yeah, so this is the start of 2015. I just did a little page here. I have done my little 2-page calendar. You can see the bleed through there. I'm going to keep up with my weather, and I am not going to continue with the drawing like I did in December, just because you can see by the time I got to the end, I was having a hard time coming up with new things to draw that were interesting. So I'm going back to my kind of old format with a little switch up. I'm going to keep the header like I have done in December, which is the strip of washi, just the date and the day. I don't need all the extra boxes because I don't use them, so there's no sense in taking all that time to draw it out. I did put a little box at the bottom to have something that I'm thankful for each day, or a quote, or whatever, just something small. It's not as big as the boxes that I had before, so that leaves me more room. I had toyed with the idea of doing a little box and putting a drawing or a picture or something inside of it, so I did that on these 2 pages. I'm not going to keep doing that. I am doing a photo challenge for January, so I'm putting those pictures in here, and then just some other picture that has something to do with something that happened that day. It could be a drawing, it could be a sticker, it could be something, but I'm just kind of going with the flow for now and seeing how it works, and when I do my January flip, you'll see how that works itself out. So that was my flip for December, and hopefully when I get through to January and to the end and do my flip for next month, I'll have a little bit better handle on what I want to do. But I'm sure it's something that's going to change from month to month. That's just what happens. So if you have any questions about anything, leave it for me in the comments, and I'll try to answer them. I need to go back and read through my comments from the last couple of videos and make sure that I've gotten all of those answered. If I get enough questions, maybe I'll do a Q&A video. That's all I've got, and if you stuck with me for this long, thank you. And I'm sorry these are so long. I cannot figure out a way to make them shorter other than doing 2 weeks at a time instead of the full month, but they would probably still be at least 20 minutes a piece. So anyways, okay, thanks for watching, and I will see you at the end of January with another flip. Bye.